It started innocently enough. I was in the middle of a late-night binge of Equestria girls' videos on YouTube when I came across a title that caught my eye. Pony.mpeg. At first glance, it seemed like just another fan-made video or perhaps a short clip from the show. However, there was something about it that felt different, almost out of place. There was no thumbnail, just a default gray box, and the video was only about 12 minutes long. No description, no comments, just the title. Maybe it was the time of night, or maybe my brain was just numb from hours of watching, but something about it piqued my curiosity. I clicked on it. The screen remained black for a few seconds before static cut in. The usual YouTube loading bar appeared in the bottom left corner. However, it moved in odd increments, as though the video itself didn't want to play. It jumped ahead, then froze before continuing in jagged bursts. It continued to do so for a bit. When the video finally started, it was wrong. The first thing that struck me was the colors. Normally, the Equestria girls' animations were bright, cheerful, a neon pastel nightmare of joy. But this was different. The colors were faded, sickly, like the cartoon was slowly decaying in front of me. The first frame showed a dark, barren forest. The trees were warped, their bark-like darkened veins pulsing with rot, twisted and reaching out at odd angles. The sky above was a sick, bruised purple, with thick, heavy clouds swirling violently. The camera panned slowly, with an unsettling, almost mechanical creak. Twilight Sparkle's figure stood at the center of the screen, but there was something off about her. Her usual vibrant purple skin was now an unnatural gray. Her hair hanging in jagged, frayed strands like it had been pulled out in chunks. Her eyes, those big, innocent purple eyes, were black holes. No pupils, just emptiness. The reflection of something dark moved across them, as if they were windows to another world. A world where nothing was safe. She didn't move, not for a long time. The camera simply lingered on her, and I could feel my stomach twisting in discomfort. Something about the silence, it was suffocating. The background noises, the wind, the distant groans of broken trees were low, muffled, and distorted. The silence was shattered without a warning. A blood-curdling scream, high-pitched and agonizing, sliced through the static. The screen blinked to black, then back to twilight, but she was different. Her eyes were wide now, bulging from her skull, and the skin on her face stretched unnaturally, like it was about to tear open. Her lips split into a grotesque smile, far too wide for her face. The image was so disturbing I felt my breath catch in my throat. I wanted to look away, but my body wouldn't let me. The screen would flicker again, and Fluttershy's figure appeared in the frame. But she wasn't the Fluttershy I knew. Her face was twisted with rage, her skin was pale and sickly, and her wings... her wings were severed at the joints. Blood streamed down her back, pooling beneath her feet, soaking into the grass. Her eyes were too large, too wide, her mouth open in a frozen scream, but no sound came from it. She tried to move, but it was like she was stuck in the screen, her body jerking unnaturally, twitching with every attempted motion, as though someone was pulling the strings of a broken puppet. I recoiled as the camera zoomed in on her mutilated body. Her arms were bent backwards, her joints dislocated, as if she had been twisted like a rag doll. The blood on her body was thick, dark, and smeared in odd shapes, tracing paths of decay across her limbs. The sight of it made my stomach churn, but there was no escape. Without any warning, the screen would flash white, the camera jerked forward. Pinkie Pie was there in the frame, but this wasn't Pinkie Pie. This was something far worse, and I felt it was staring right at me. Her mouth had been split open like a grotesque puppet, her jaw hanging down to her chest. Her teeth were jagged, sharp, and stained with something black. Probably blood, but it didn't look right at all. Her eyes, if you could still call them eyes, were cracked open like broken glass. Bits of flesh hung from her face, and there were large dark stains on her pink skin. Her limbs were stretched unnaturally long, like they had been pulled beyond their limit. Her body jerked forward, and it took me a moment to notice she wasn't alone. There were others. In the background, I could see the faint outlines of more figures moving. At first, they were hard to make out. I realized something. They were all the characters, but twisted, deformed, like they had been through some unspeakable horror. Rarity's body was twisted in impossible angles. Her skin a dull, dirty white. Her hands clawing at the air as if begging for help. Applejack, her head tilted at an odd angle, was crawling on her hands and knees, dragging behind her a trail of deep, gaping wounds across her back. The camera kept zooming out, showing the entire scene in its full grotesque glory. The ground was littered with torn pieces of skin, shredded clothes, and broken limbs, as though these creatures had been ravaged and thrown away by some monstrous force. Blood pooled around them, and as the camera panned across the gruesome scene, I saw something even more disturbing. A massive shadow looming behind them. It was impossibly large, its shape shifting and contorting in a way that made no sense, as though it were alive and feeding on the horror in front of it. I felt my chest tighten, my breath becoming shallow. I tried to stop the video, but it wouldn't respond. My body felt like it was paralyzed in fear. What I saw next was even worse. The camera zoomed in on Rainbow Dash. She was crawling. Her limbs, stretched out far too long, were bent at twisted angles. Her fingers digging into the blood-soaked ground. Her head hung to one side, her neck broken in several places, but she continued to move. Slowly, deliberately, towards the camera. Her mouth opened, a deep rasping sound filled the air, like someone dragging their nails across glass. Her jaw stretched impossibly wide, and the dark void that was her throat seemed to go on forever. She lunged towards the screen, her jagged teeth snapping, her breath a sickly wheeze. For a moment, I thought I was seeing things, but I would realize I saw something that made me gag. A face so hideous it made my skin crawl. It was covered in flesh that seemed to melt away in real time, leaving only raw, exposed muscle and bone. It was wearing an expression of pure agony, its eyes wide and hollow, and its mouth contorted into a grimace that looked like it had been permanently etched into its face. This thing was staring directly at me, as if it knew I was there, as if it was reaching out, pulling me into the screen with it. I slammed my hand down on the keyboard trying to close the tab, but the mouse didn't respond. The video kept playing, the horrifying images flashing faster now. The screams, the groans, the sickening sound of flesh tearing and bones cracking. I tried to turn off my laptop, but the off button wouldn't respond. The screen went black. The silence that followed was worse than anything I had heard. My heart was racing and I could feel sweat pouring down my back. Something flashed before me. It was Twilight Sparkle, but her face was covered in blood, her eyes wide and lifeless, staring straight into my soul. In her hands she held something. It was too dark to make out at first, but as the image zoomed in, I saw what it was. A severed head. Fluttershy's. Her eyes were still open, frozen in terror. The video finally ended. The screen faded to black and I was left sitting in the dark, staring at the empty, silent room. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding in my chest. I could still hear the screams, still feel the sick, crawling sensation in my bones. I thought I had escaped that, but I couldn't. The darkness, the distortion, the faces, they were still with me. I don't know if the video is still out there, but I couldn't find it again. The title, Pony.mpeg, is gone from YouTube. It's as though it never existed. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because there are more chilling tales to be told. Also check out my other social media profiles. The links for those are down in the description. Thanks for listening.